Greetings and welcome to Growth Hacking Secrets. I'm your host, Mohammed Siddique from Atlanta, Georgia, and the co author of New Success Secrets, available on Amazon. On this episode, we have a special guest, Betsy Westhafer. Betsy is the co host of the Really Know Your Customer podcast. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Betsy Westhafer. Betsy, welcome.
Thank you, Siddique. It's so nice to be here with you today.
Thank you so much. Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to start the podcast, the Really Know Your Customer podcast?
So I am based in Dayton, Ohio. My company is called the Congruity Group, and I have a phenomenal colleague named Tony Bodo, and we have written a book together, and we've done some live events together. And so we thought the natural extension then was to start the podcast. So we talk to CEOs, and our audience is CEOs, and we really just try to provide insights all around customer engagement from the CEO's perspective and what that can mean for the growth of your business.
So you are talking to the ideal group then?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. This is good. So, Betsy, before we talk about your successes, is it okay if I ask some mistakes and failures in your venture?
Oh, yeah, I have plenty to choose from.
Oh, wonderful. So, what are the top 3 missteps to avoid in growing and running your business?
Oh, I apologize. I thought you meant mistakes I've made
No.
when I said I had plenty to choose from. Yeah, I think the biggest mistake is not having a strategy for engaging your customers and not making it a high priority. It's really a key strategy for growth and making sure that you're aligned with the market. I think another misstep is for the C-suite, for executives to just put that on somebody else's plate, like sales or marketing, and not get involved directly with the customers themselves and build those relationships with their customers themselves. And then I think that the third misstep would really just be not being open to the feedback, putting up guardrails around how open you are to hearing things that you may not want to hear. It's not always easy to get that kind of feedback from your customers when you engage with them. And but it's really important to not only listen, but then to act on those insights and then communicate that back to your customers that, yes, I heard you. This is what we're doing, or this is what we're not doing. You may go through a process where you've discussed it and realized, okay, that now's not the time, or that's just not something that fits with the rest of our business. But it doesn't really matter as long as you're listening and then you communicate back to the customers that, yes, I heard you, and this is the result of that conversation.
Yeah, and just being heard is a big part of this whole solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful. So you work with the C-suite, and I'm sure there are so many failures. I'd like you to share one failure, single most professional failure in dealing with the customers. What did you learn from that, and how did you recover from it? Because you have a portfolio of clients, and from there, share one of the failures. I don't want you to name any client, but we want to learn from that mistake so that way we don't do it.
You're referring to a mistake that one of our clients made?
Your company made it or your client made it? I give you the
Okay. I would say one of the issues that I don't know that it was a mistake, but it was just kind of an inaction kind of thing. They had a phenomenal first advisory board. And one of the executives said, we need to do this they did an East Coast, they broke it down by geography. They did an East Coast advisory board. And one of the executives saw the instant return on investment because the customers were able to see other services that they could buy. They were talking to their peers about other things that they engage with this client with. And they decided not to do a West Coast one because they were worried about the expense. And they weren't really looking at the return on that investment of engaging the customers out on the West Coast and the instant ROI that you would get. So it was really kind of a lack of action to take this even further and get more insights that I would say would be a misstep.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Betsy, let's switch the side. Let's talk about some success secrets of this whole process of getting the customers on an advisory board. What are the top 3 success secrets?
The first thing I always tell people is if you're not going to commit to this for at least 2 years, then don't even start. Because the worst thing you can do is tell your customers, we really want to engage with you. We really want to know what you have to say and what you're thinking. And then have a false start and then have them see like, oh, I guess they really don't care what I think and what I say. So you actually do more harm than good by starting and stopping than if you just don't start at all. So that's the first thing I tell people. Another thing is the recruit in this particular case of a customer advisory board, the recruiting is really key. It's important. We have 26 different criteria that we look at when we're recruiting people for an advisory board. And it's really important that you have balance on the board. You don't want a whole board of raving fans because you're not going to learn some of the things you need to learn. You also don't want all detractors because then it's going to turn into something ugly. So there are a lot of things. We look at geography, gender, services that they buy. We look at tenure as a customer, their account values, all kinds of things, and get a really good broad-based perspective. So that's really a key to success. And then the other thing, and this is why I love what we do, is the value of having a third party to facilitate it. It takes out all the bias. You know, if you internally are running your own customer advisory board, it's very hard to be unbiased in the way you phrase questions, in the way you respond to questions, in the way you write up reports afterwards. So having an unbiased third party to run your advisory board is really significant in terms of success.
This is good. This is good. I'm so glad you said yes to come on the show.
Oh, well, thank you for the invitation. I was honored.
No, this is good. You like to share anything bonus as it, which because this is your chance to give us a kind of bonus surprise bonus.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've seen happen, and this is where I always say this is where the magic happens. When you've had a customer advisory board long enough that the board members really become a family and they enjoy being with each other. And what we do rolling terms. So we do 12, 18, and 24-month terms so that you eventually are rolling off people and bringing in new people. So you have your core group, but you're also bringing in fresh ideas so that the board doesn't get stale. And what I saw happen one time is there were a couple of board members rolling off and they were crushed. They did not want to roll off. They were begging to stay on. And you think about the impact of having your key customers saying, please, can I spend more time with you, helping you, with your business and giving my time for free, because these advisors don't get paid. They oftentimes get their expenses covered, but they don't get paid to be on the board. So you have your customers begging you to volunteer their time to help you grow your business and give you, really good key strategic insights. And that's when, if you've been consistent enough with your board to get to that level, it's really, really magical.
No, that's definitely magical, and especially when you have that board, then salespeople keep bragging about that having a board. Hey, we not only we listen to the customers, we have a board. We blah blah blah. That helps you get more acquisitions on a client acquisition more smooth. That's something unique. Why you should buy it, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And we also try to provide a ton of value for the board members too. So we encourage them to put on their LinkedIn profile that they're a member of this advisory board. It positions them as thought leaders within the industry. And these peer relationships are really, really important as well. So we build in a lot of thought into how do we make this a good use of their time so that they want to stay engaged and that it is a meaningful use of their time and their energy, and that it propels them in their careers as well.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Betsy, the people who are watching this now or in the future, how they can support you?
Well, a couple of ways. Thank you for that. We are next month launching a very in-depth customer engagement assessment. And we're very, very excited about that. It will be on our website at thecongruitygroup.com. We're shooting for March 15th to have that go live. We're very, very proud of this and believe that it will help companies really understand the depth of what customer engagement really means. And we give recommendations, and we give free our time to help walk through the assessment report. It takes about an hour. It's a pretty substantial assessment. And then just find me on LinkedIn and connect. I'd love to meet the people that are listening today to the show and start a dialogue. That's always a good thing.
Wonderful. The website is, let me spell it for you. You can see it on your screen right now. Take a picture and then spell it, and do it whenever you like to visit. However, if you're just walking around and doing the exercise and still listening to this podcast, let me spell it for you so that way it's kind of imprint, so that way you can visit it. TheCongruytygroup.com. Thank you so much, Betsy. I really appreciate everything. It's amazing having a tribe group of advisors from the customers group of advisors, not from outside, just the advisors. They are your customers, top value, top of the chain. So, Betsy, I like to ask you a few words about the show being your guest experience. What would you say about your today's guest experience on a Growth Hacking Secret show?
Oh my gosh, this is being on the Growth Hacking Success show is just been a real thrill and an honor. I've gone onto YouTube and watched all the previous guests, and the insights that are shared on this show are really meaningful and important. And I'm just really happy to have been asked to participate.
Thank you for your kind words. Really appreciate it. Betsy, what would you say as a final word?
Just that there's never a bad time to start thinking about getting engaged with your customers, but I'd say there's an even better time, which is as we're emerging from this crazy world that we've been living in for the last year. It's never been more important because so much has changed, and you just don't want to make assumptions about what your customers are thinking.
Wonderful. This is a great way to create a partnership with your customers. Basically, that's what that is, and create a listening culture all over. Not just
Absolutely.
saying it, create a listening culture, and that starts with your company. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Betsy, for sharing your wisdom with us today on the behalf of Growth Hacking Secrets community and our entire team. We really appreciate you. This is Mohammed Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia. Until the next episode, all good wishes.